Okay, thank you for stopping my cabinescence. And for one, we don't support cheating in this channel. This new recent account I created, like 2 months ago. It doesn't support cheating, by the way. Not only is it unethical and it goes against my moral compass, but it's also an immature way of ending a relationship. All right? But there are some situations in which maybe cheating is necessary, and maybe cheating might be the best way to go about things. So today, I'm not only going to provide nuance to the conversation when it comes to cheating, but I also kind of want to test your moral compass as well. But before we get to the video, all right.
For today's episode of, the whole inner monologue thing, you are going to look at my fit. Alright, and that's all you're gonna do. That's all you're required to, thrift this shirt from Depop, you know what I'm saying? And then, I can't show you the full thing, but boom, you have Adidas pants. I think it's also thrifted. Let me turn it vertically so you guys can, kind of worship it fully. So, yeah, this is how it looks. Look at the pants, and then the socks are kind of like the final part of my fit, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I didn't need shoes due to the fact that I live in an African household, so I don't really wear shoes at home. Let me know what you guys would rate it on a scale of 1 through 10.
Back to the video, okay? And for these 4 situations, these are basically impossible situations, like 1 in a million type stuff, like golden blood in your DNA type of thing. But just because chances are low doesn't mean it's 0, as we all know. This could happen to your cousin, your father, your daughter. This can happen to anyone, you know what I'm saying? So just watch out and put yourself in their shoes and try to see what you can do about these situations. So first scenario we have over here is you've been sentenced to life imprisonment. Okay, there's no parole, and even if there was parole, any chance of parole, you can't pay for bail due to the fact that you're broke. Your girl promised that she'd call you every week on the phone, and it becomes a residual process for first 5 years. All of a sudden, we see we see a sharp decline. You know what I'm saying? And she stops calling more often, and boom, you're like 7 years in, and then she stops calling in general. You haven't received a call from her in months. But little do you know, she changed her phone number. Not only does it show like a lack of communication in a relationship, also creates more of a bridge in a relationship where you both are on like 2 sides of the world right now. But at the same time, something in prison that's strange happens to you. You get into a shower and there are 3 big buff black men, you know what I'm saying? Really muscular type guy. They're new to the prison, so you haven't seen it before and you don't know their business, but you still caution yourself when you're in the shower. However, the soap you're using, it's not a body wash, so since it's a bar soap, you accidentally let it fall down to your feet. I think you know where this is going, but the thing is, you try picking it up and you accidentally, get caught slipping due to the fact that you couldn't bend down through your knees. Wait, hold on. Even if you did kind of do an ace squat, the other guy, like one of the big, strong black dudes, can come with the Johnson and try to put it in your mouth, you know what I'm saying? So there's no way out of this situation. You bend over and plus you're butt booty naked, and these other 3 big, muscular black dudes, they notice that and they start taking it down, you know what I'm saying? They haven't had a lot of action during the time they were in prison. It's been a month officially, and you understand that they need to get active. The thing is, you feel molested after this experience. You feel like your whole body has being used to a certain extent, and that's a horrible feeling. But a month later, you start to yearn for her for some reason. Your wife's gone, and you're never going to see her again due to the fact that you're living in prison for life without parole. So you kind of start missing a feeling of some type of just sexual engagement. So then, here begs the question. Would you start going down on these 3 black men and start relying on them sexually? Or would you stay loyal and, abstain, from, sex due to the fact that, you love your wife? That's one situation where I feel like, it's kind of ethical for cheating due to the fact that you're never seeing your wife again. Your wife is gone, basically, and she stopped calling you. All right. And the other thing is, I forgot to mention, is that she's not even taking care of kids. All right, so who knows what she may be doing? She also may be dead. All right, so it also begs the question, like, what do you do? Although I wouldn't cheat, all right, I can see why someone else would, due to the fact that not only has their wife basically abandoned them for the time being, which is like basically for life, but they're also in a state where sexual gratification hasn't been met in a very, very, very long time. But yeah, that's one thing. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Okay, so again, with the wife situation, all right, you and your wife have been married for the past 15 years, all right? Basically best friends at this point, but all of a sudden she just dies due to, natural causes, God forbid. And then for the next 10 years, you live without her. But then all of a sudden, you hear a knock on your door on a random Tuesday morning. It's about to head to work. Your parents are not even on, the waist. You know what I'm saying? But you go and pick up the door due to the fact that you're a nice guy. And then boom, there's this weird situation where a 10-year-old is at the door. The guy that you ask her, hey, where are your parents? Kid then says, like really weird stuff. I miss you. And stuff like that. Also, what's also weird about this is that she knows your name. You're in a daze, you're in a doozy, due to the fact that this is super strange. A 10-year-old kid is at my door and knows my name. And she starts telling me that she misses me. Do I have a second child that I don't know? Or what is happening over here? She starts talking to you more, and she tells you in the middle of the conversation, that she is your wife. Now, it will be weird for you to keep on talking to this 10-year-old girl, but now you're kind of intrigued, all right? You're intrigued due to the fact that she's spewing information that you only know about your wife who died 15 years ago. So you know that since no one else could also have this information, you're really skeptical. And also what's really confusing about this, right, is that she can speak fluently as a 10-year-old. You know that she has a cognitive ability of a 20-something-year-old or the age of the wife you married. She doesn't talk like a kid, and she speaks like your wife. And not only that, she has all the memories that you've had. Like, you asked her a random question about, there's something you did together, like it was like a you thing, and she can answer that so easily. She wants to get back with you, but the thing is, she's 10 years old, of course. So the thing is, although she's reincarnated as a 10-year-old, she is still your wife. All right. So what do you do in this situation? Or how do you handle this? How do you find loopholes around this? Would you still date someone else due to the fact that she's a 10-year-old, even if she is your wife? Or would you wait until she's 18? Now, you may look at me as a very messy person for thinking of something like that, but here's the catch. I didn't think of this. All right. This is a manga that is on, that is on air, that's on TV. This is an anime that is on TV. The world is doomed, bro. The world is doomed, bro. Like, we're not serious right now. We're not serious. But yeah, what would you do? I feel like cheating would be most ethical in this situation due to the fact that, she's 10. All right, it's a 10-year-old. Literally, what else are you gonna do? Are you gonna be communal with her? All right, if you are, you're a PDF file. All right, so there's a lot of nuance to be added into these conversations. Okay, so third scenario, it's gonna be very similar to our first scenario, but the thing is, it's a situation that you quite literally cannot control. You're living in Texarkana, Texas, and you're dating this North Korean shorty. The thing is, here's the situation: ICE comes to your door. And all of a sudden, you see your wife getting taken away by the police, and now she's gonna be taken to North Korea. So under Kim Jong-un's rule, she'll have to change everything. Her looks, her phone number, her everything, her use of social media. That's all gonna be ambiguous to you now. It's a whole different world. The thing is, luckily for now, you have her number. And you guys are long distance relationship type of thing. But then you don't care, because you're a lover boy, all right? You keep on dating her. You keep on talking, saying from North Korea. But here's the thing, right? One of these days, you try to call her on the phone. It's not working. Her phone number, it says, please leave a message. You have no way of contacting her. And additionally, all right, her social media, her Korean social media, is now gone, so you can't talk to her from there. Little do you know that now she's enlisted in the female North Korean military to fight the war against Iran. Now, basically, your relationship is damn near finished. You're never gonna speak to her again. There is no way you guys are gonna keep in contact, all right? This is Kim Jong-un we're talking about. You haven't established the fact that you're not dating anymore. And she also hasn't established the fact that she can't date you. She said that you're never gonna see her again. What do you do in this situation, in which you can not only never see her anymore, but you don't know where she is, you don't know what she's doing. Yeah, you don't know, but by the way, you don't know that she's enlisted in the North Korean military. Would you technically cheat, or would you stayed in this basically dead relationship? All right. So yeah, let's move on to scenario number 4, my last situation. You're in an arranged marriage with someone you do not like at all, to any sort of degree. Thing is, she likes you, and on top of that, if you plan on separating from her or getting any sort of divorce, all right, your parents will not only disown you, but people that are related to her, your wife's family, will come down and try to murder you. So let's not forget that you also established the fact that you do not like this said person, and you told that person. All right. The thing as well also adds on to this is that she doesn't care if you don't like her. All right. So all the sex that you're having, it's non-consensual. Yeah, this is all like technically sexual, like assault, right? Harassment. What do? Of course, you would cheat in this situation, and if you had no way of, getting out of this situation, you'd have to find a way to, get a sneaky leak at least. You don't like anything about this person. You hate this person, all right? You have to find a way to, flee the country, flee your entire life. You change your name. This is going to be a difficult situation, but you have to, because you know that you will never see a future with this person. And although she knows that, she's also just using your body as a tool now. She doesn't care if the relationship isn't consensual. All right. So everyone is against you. Your family does that. Realize that you either cheat and leave your current identity, or stay in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you. All right, for the rest of your life. What do you do? Personally, I changed my name. I bleached myself. I'm becoming Michael Jackson, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking a full-on disguise, a whole-on no surgery. The thing about Michael Jackson is, he might be a PDF file. Let me talk about Michael Jackson for a second. Michael Jackson, back in the 90s, made this whole thing called the Neverland. All right, it was his house that was, made for him to, interact with kids. All right, and these kids would be children patients from hospitals who are suffering from illnesses. So, that's a good thing. But the thing is, it gets kind of weird when you know that he's sleeping with them, not like doing any type of intercourse. From what we heard, there was no type of like intercourse on this time, and if there was any, it was kind of a rumor, speculated or something like that. But he's just sleeping on the bed with them. He's not doing anything with them. So this is kind of weird, right? Also, one thing that's also weird about Michael Jackson is that he was reported to be a man child, and not in the way that you think. All right, like this type of man child, like Michael Jackson wasn't the type of man child to just like only be interacting with kids throughout his day to day. All right, it got that weird. He would play with them, and not like the weird like diddler type of way, but just like play with their toys and stuff like that. And he was like 37 at this time, by the way. So yeah, Michael Jackson, yeah, he's something. I still like his music though. I like his music. It's pretty nice. All right. Yeah, I think that's the end of the video. I think I ended it on a sour note. You know what I'm saying? But let's end it here. All right. This is the video. Like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, you're missing out. I feel like you're gonna develop the fear of missing out, like FOMO, if you don't subscribe.
Thank you for sticking to the end. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you would know what was happening with the transfers, with Nani Madueke and stuff like that. And although I feel like this is a weird kind of a transfer, I believe that he is somewhat better than Martinelli. As I would call it, Frottinelli. Right? I can't call him his name anymore. He's not even Brazilian. But Martinelli, bro, I can't take that guy. Every time I see him on the pitch, I forget for most of my time watching him, I did not know he was Brazilian. I thought he was European, and when someone told me that he was Brazilian, I was shell-shocked. All right, and that's the kind of bad Martinelli is. Like, he's Brazilian, not Brazilian. He's the most European Brazilian player I've ever seen.